Good evening and welcome to this another edition of the Republican debate with a Republican panelists. It's a pleasure for us to have men of substance, caliber and timber with us this evening. We shall be discussing on two major topics tonight. We shall be discussing the Bakassi Peninsula. It's 20 years that Bakassi now belongs to Cameroon. After 20 years, can we be proud of the fight over Bakassi with the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Is Bakassi really Bakassi? Is Bakassi Cameroon? Can we really be proud? In the course of this program, equally, we shall be discussing moral decadence. We have seen a young girl, a young Fiangang, who is now freed after 3 months that she spent in prison. Is it a nice thing, a good thing to have sent her and then release her again after 3 months? We shall be discussing this in the course of this program. But I'll begin with him. He is Professor Rector, Vice Rector in the University of Yaoundé too. It's a pleasure for us to have him here in the program. They call him Professor Edmond Bilowa. Good evening, Prof, and welcome.
Good evening, Clarkson. Thank you for inviting me. Good evening to my fellow panelists, and good evening to the viewers who are watching us from home.
Yes, Prof, tell us, gas is back, and we had some scarcity of gas. Gas is back. We can say it's good news.
I presume that it's back. I didn't
domestic gas. You did not have problem of gas anyway.
No, I did not notice that. I did not notice that.
You did not notice that it was problem of domestic gas?
No. I knew that at one point we had a scarcity of gas, the gas that is used for the cars, petrol. But the domestic gas, I did not notice that.
You did not notice that. Equally, we are having the Secretary General of the PAP party, Mr. Fabrice Lena. Good evening and welcome to the Republican debate.
Good evening, Sir Tabby Clarkson. Good evening to Prof. Good evening to fellow co-panelists. Good evening to all the viewers of Cam10 TV in Idabatu, in Share Creek, in Modemba, in Kumbo Abejibo, in Isangele, in all the areas of Indian Division. Good evening. Special good evening to my people in the islands. They know I'm always with them. People Action Party, Popular Action Party is always with them in that area because we know what they are going through. I'm always visiting them at least twice every year to understand the conditions of these people that have been abandoned to themselves by the obsolete government in Yaoundé.
Do you witness that there was gas a problem of domestic gas?
Of course, I witnessed that. We are close to the people, we are close to the society, and issues concerning daily struggle of Cameroonians will not always escape our mind, and it's a preoccupation because for gas not to be available is just part of the multiple difficult economic conditions that Cameroonians are passing through on daily basis. It's quite tough times for Cameroonians, but we hope that there is hope. And
there is hope. There is hope, especially when there is life, there is hope. We say thank you for coming, Mr. Secretary General of the PAP party. With us equally, he is a man of law. They call him Daouda Bombo. Daouda is a jurist. Welcome, sir, and good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Tabby Clarkson, and thank you to invite me again in this on this program. I want to also to greet my co-panelists and your millions of viewers. Very pleased, very happy always when you invite me to be here. Thank you very much.
He is not a journalist, he is a jurist, Mr. Daouda Bombo. Equally with us, we have Victor Mbe. He is, of course, a political scientist. Victor, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Tabby Clarkson, and good evening to my co-panelists.
You also witness the issue of domestic gas?
Scarcity of basic commodities and necessities in our country is not strange. You know, the government has its mechanism in which they used to do things. During the holiday, we began with petrol. So what happened? 2 weeks ago is the issue of gas. And some hours ago, that gas was available. Let us wait and see the days ahead. What will be the outcome?
It's Cameroon, and Cameroon is one and indivisible. We are a people, we are united. Despite our differences, despite our difficulties, we are the same sons and daughters of the same nation, one nation called Cameroon. Well, it's the Republican debate. We shall be back after the jingle. It's true that we should not confuse between a lawyer and a jurist. Mr.
Yes,
Prof.
Yes. A jurist can teach law at the university,
yes,
but not be an attorney at law. Okay, so these are two different things.
Yeah, no, two different things.
But it's true that in some countries you can be a university teacher of law and still be an attorney. Yeah, it's a
so we have a lawyer with us.
Yes.
It's important.
You have an attorney.
Okay, with us.
You have an attorney. Because the magistrate is also a lawyer.
He's a writer also.
You are also a writer, an author. We say thank you for coming. Can we tackle our first topic? We are talking Bakassi. 20 years on, it was in October 2002 that Bakassi was officially handed over to Cameroon. I'll begin with you, given that you always go to Isangele. Isangele is not very far from Bakassi. Tell us, 20 years after, can we really be proud for obtaining Bakassi?
Mr. Tabi Clarkson, I don't only go to Isangele. I've been to Idabatu. That was February of this 2022. I was at Isangele. I was at Share Creek. I have taught the 2 to 3 subdivisions that make up the Bakassi Peninsula, and I understand deeply that this is a neglected zone where life there and everything there is just so awesome, but the government is doing nothing at all to relieve these people and make them feel Cameroonians. The first thing that strikes you when you are in Bakassi is the fact that Bakassi is a zone using 2 currencies, using Fcfa and using the Naira. Bakassi is...
They still use the Naira there?
Of course. They use the Naira as we are talking. They use Naira there even more than Fcfa, you know. And about 70% of commodities consumed in the Bakassi area are commodities of Nigeria. And do not forget that the original occupants of this place is a mix, a blend, a hybrid of the ethnic people of Cross River State, Nigeria, and the Ejaham people, and some part of the coastal people of the Indian division. And given the fact that history and law and all what happened made this piece of land and the environment and this wonderful island to belong to Cameroon, it is the place of the Cameroon government and authorities to take this precious jewel, which is the Bakassi Island, with a lot of interest, care, and good governance.
So you are saying that...
But we are seeing the contrary. We are seeing the contrary.
Yeah,
when you go to Bakassi, there is no infrastructure. They don't have electricity. They don't have water. In the capital of the headquarters itself, Idabatu, there is electricity, but it is from time to time. But now, when you go to the other zones like the creeks, like the Diamond Island, like you're going to the other areas with enormous population, you don't see any infrastructure there. And the only thing that makes you to feel is Cameroon is the Cameroon flag and the government structures and offices that are there. So there is a serious problem.
But there is administration in Bakassi.
That's what we are saying. There's administration. Cameroon is known for administration, Mr. Tabi Clarkson. Apart from administration, there's nothing else we have. We do not have an economy. We have an administration that has absorbed the economy, but it's in disguise of a mixed economy. We are operating in public administration, pro-public economy. But you have to consider that these people here have an attitude of a liberal way of lifestyle, a cultural way of lifestyle that just need a small support of an administration in terms of delivery of public and merit goods that they were supposed to be delivered, and these people will be fine. So for me, I have a serious concern as to the future of Bakassi, as to how the people of Bakassi are coping with life. It is quite tough.
It is quite tough. The people of Bakassi, Prof, have you been to Bakassi?
No, I've never been there.
You have never been to Bakassi?
No.
But you are getting what Fabrice Lena is saying, that Bakassi has been abandoned by the Cameroonian government. Do you agree?
No. I know for a fact that once we got back Bakassi, the government has built schools, hospitals, there are houses for civil servants. But I will agree with him that the government hasn't managed to make sure that people feel Cameroonians in Bakassi. You have to remember that most of the fishermen in Bakassi come from abroad. They come from Nigeria, they come from West Africa. Many of them are not Cameroonian. So the majority of fishermen in Bakassi are not Cameroonian citizens. All right? And due to the fact that Bakassi was owned by Nigeria at best temporarily, many of the goods, as Fabrice said, come from Nigeria. Okay? That is not surprising because even in the upper north, the neighboring villages and the neighboring towns, goods come from Nigeria. If you go to the Mayo Tanaga, for instance, all these villages that are that share almost the same borders with Nigeria, many things come from Nigeria. And that is due to the fact that the Nigerian economy is much stronger than our economy. Okay, you understand? But the Cameroonian government has attempted to make sure that Cameroonian civil servants who work in Bakassi feel much more comfortable than before. And I believe that even their salaries have been increased. Okay? But it will take some time before Bakassi really becomes Cameroon.
20 years is not enough time?
It's not enough time because Cameroon cannot just kick out of the land
the
Nigerians or people from Mali or people from Chad. You know, it is impossible. Okay, because after all, we are all Africans.
We are all Africans.
Okay? And I can tell you that there are also a lot of Cameroonians in Nigeria.
Of course.
Many Cameroonians are in Nigeria. I taught at the University of Madonna, which is the first Catholic university in Nigeria, for 8 years. And a Cameroonian can go to Nigeria without a passport. You just need your Cameroonian ID. All right? So, there are many Cameroonians in Nigeria, and there are many Nigerians in Cameroon. And I don't think that there is anything that we can do about it.
It's true that the dispute over the Bakassi Peninsula started quite some time, very long ago. In 1981, Cameroon and Nigeria were actually at the brink of having a war. And in 1994, of course, the matter was taken to the court at The Hague. Yes, you were a man of law. Tell us, can we be proud of having Bakassi back?
Yes, because it was a long journey. As you were saying, it started exactly on the 24th of March, 1994, when Cameroon decided to file a complaint because they wanted to come back to the limit who was not traced in 1975. So Cameroon noticed that because they wanted to protect the territory. It was the land and sea borders, who is not only to Bakassi. It was going up to the lake, the Chad Lake Chad, because Cameroon share the same borders with Nigeria, for more than 1,000 kilometers. So Cameroon asks to the court to come back and establish a real boundary between the two sides. So they decided it because they mentioned that they were assault against Cameroonian at that particular area. So and they also add that in that complaint that there were so many violations against our territory, Cameroon territory, because they argue that Nigeria, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, did not respect the fundamental principle of border inherited from colonization. That was the main point. And when they go to the court, I want to salute that perspective because it was the wise perspective. He avoided us to go into a war, to go to the war against a friend country, a border country, because Nigeria is a border country. We share the same borders for more than 1,000 kilometers. But the Nigeria did not accept it or did not see it like that. That's the reason why they file also a counterclaim and accept that preliminary exception. They give something like, they propose something like 8 preliminary exception, but only 7 was studied by the court. Another one, the court said they will go in the deep of the coast.
But can we be proud that 20 years after?
That's the history.
Yeah.
And I want to emphasize in the history because it's the history will bring us this type of program. You know, when other people decided to trace our borders, it can be a problem because they don't know the reality. They don't know how to appreciate the context because there is a context. You know, we share the same borders. We have brothers here and there. They were supposed to acknowledge it, but they didn't do that. That's the reason why we have 2 important declarations, if I can say it like that. We have one declaration, Thompson and Merchant Declaration, in 1929 to 1930, and we have also another agreement, Anglo-German agreement of 1913. That's the reason why even at the end the court decided to take it as the beginning of the resolution of the conflict.
Yes,
now, we are at the resolution of the conflict. That means that the judgment was set in the 10th of October 2002. But in the field, progressively, they agree that Nigeria will get back progressively. I think that what is the thing which is happening now, and the flag of Cameroon, the national flag of Cameroon,
the green, red, yellow,
is there, is in Bakassi and in the Lake Chad. You know, I want to also to greet or to salute the perspective of those 2 presidents at that time, because they avoid.
Yes, we shall be coming to that.
Yes.
Dauda, we shall be coming to that. 20 years after Victor, can we really be proud of having regained our Bakassi?
Mr. Tabi Clarkson, 20 years after us taking over Bakassi, let us demystify the mysticism in the history and the history of the issue of the Bakassi. It should be, however, noted that to an extent or in the other dimension, it's a double coin. But Cameroon is proud because the decision was Cameroon. After the decision, Cameroon was given the territory. So we discovered what at international level, and it was the first border dispute in which it was ever
an international
dispute, which marked a landmark history in the world and a very peaceful conflict. Equally, the president at that time, the two presidents, they were very wise because they had options to go to war.
In
but
Nigeria, who was president?
Look, Obasanjo and the president, President Fobia. Yeah, so they were very wise. It showed their leadership skills, which they had options to go to war, but they said no. War is to a man like childbirth is to a woman. Therefore, they should come to a round table and have a particular dialogue and discuss and have a fervent decision. So that time, the international law, the decision marked a lot of influence and it paved the way for recognition of leadership in Cameroon and Africa at large. Therefore, international laws put into book.
So we can be proud, we as Cameroonians.
We as Cameroonians.
Despite the fact that in Bakassi, there is no development. Elena was talking, no electricity, no water.
You know, administration is gradually. It cannot be 100% perfect. And we don't only have Bakassi to solve in Cameroon. We have other problems. We have other problems, but we can say Bakassi is really a blessing to Cameroon as we take over.
Bakassi is a blessing.
Yes, as we've taken over Bakassi to Cameroon, it was a landmark, as I said, in international law. It is really a blessing to us. With that, we should not be beating around the bush. It's not easy because at that time the conflict and tension was there. If you look at history, discover what even our people who wanted independence copied from the examples of Nigeria, which are our border countries. There's no difference between Cameroon and Nigeria. Look at even the football aspect. When they play, it's the same thing. So Bakassi, really, we are proud of having Bakassi as a Cameroon territory.
Yes, Lena, I saw you laughing when Victor was talking.
Well,
a reaction?
It's laughable because it's not about gaining back Bakassi that is making us proud of having Bakassi back. It is about the people. Society is about human existence. If the leadership or whatever reason we are taking back Bakassi for is not for the good of the people, why take them from a better government and better administration? Cross River State is a place I'm very used to. I know so many local government areas there. The closest, one of the local government areas they call Bakassi, which is the other route going through Ndian in the northern zone, is well developed under the administration of the series of governors with constitutional democracy and elected governors in these states, neighboring states that Cameroon is bordered with. And the people are having good housing plan. Recently in 2019-20, Governor Ben Ayade put a housing structure in the Bakassi local government area. That Bakassi local government area they are calling in Nigeria is not the Bakassi Island. It is part of Nigeria territory that they call Bakassi, which is a local government area in Cross River State. And it is well developed. Now, when those living in Bakassi Peninsula, in our own island, go to the Bakassi of Nigeria, Cross River State, and look at the living standard, look at social amenities, look at governance, look at all those things, why would they not be in anguish? Why would they not be angry? Why would they not be in despair? Because here there is no concern. My brother,
Victor said it's a gradual process.
That is a gradual process.
That
is the kind of
that we have many problems
that
in
is
Cameroon.
the kind of sleeping and complacent statement that has put this country on a hold for years and is making me to think as a young man having such an encrypted mindset of saying it is a gradual process. Mr. Tabi Clarkson, administration and governance in 21st century is not a gradual process. The world is rapid. Things that were done in 2000, the year 2000, at the space of ×2 in 2022 is at the space of ×16. It is rapid. You sit here in Cameroon, you are saying that it's a gradual process. Nigeria is there advancing. Equatorial Guinea is there advancing. Ghana is there advancing. Kenya is there advancing. They are there establishing skyscraping houses, establishing stable economy, establishing relatively stable democracy. They are sure that this year, this man cannot be president, this one will be the new president. This year, this one cannot be governor. That is the predictability of good governance. Mr. Tabi Clarkson, we should not look at it in the perspective of winning a case. Winning a case is something that everyone can do that. I want us to insist on the fact of inability of Cameroon government, the failure of Cameroon government to assume its responsibility of making the inhabitants of Bakassi to be comfortable and feel Cameroonian.
Yes, Victor.
And there's a serious crisis in that area. Problem of identification.
We are coming.
A serious problem.
We are coming to that. Yes, Victor. A reaction after Fabrice Lena before we take Prof?
I believe there's a saying that Rome was not built in a day. So our first step was to take over Bakassi, and if you go to Bakassi project, Yela said that's why I kept quiet, because in Bakassi,
there is a saying that Rome was not built
in a day. Yeah. So you don't expect Cameroon to be everything on a single day. So you equally discover that what in Bakassi, as he said, our administration is there, the security is there.
People don't need administration and security, my brother. People don't
please allow him to learn.
Mr. Fabi, where we're talking, not get too short.
Yes.
We should learn to respect our panelists.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, our views are very important. It may not be important today, but tomorrow they're important.
Yes.
We know that Bakassi, it is dominated by 75% of the Nigerians. That we know. Development cannot easily be carried out there due to the topography. It is swampy.
Yes.
Let us not forget that aspect. It is swampy. So that's why government tries in place to put a mechanism in which development can go. We don't want to be, I believe that the government does not want to be a situation where there will be houses today, tomorrow we hear that there's a landslide or that sink. Money and resources wasted. As I said, it's a gradual process. Let us look at it in a scientific perspective. Security is there, there are schools, there, administrations are there, hospitals are there. It is a gradual process. It is true after 20 years we expect magic, as always in the black people. Which is not possible. Elections have been conducting. If you expect magic, I believe
elections are going on in Bakassi.
No, I mean elections are going on in Cameroon. That is said, people who voted or who grabbed Bakassi at that territory at that particular time, well, more than 5 elections have taken place.
People are voting in Bakassi.
No, I just don't misquote me. I said people have been voting for people who took over Bakassi. That's the leadership.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's the direction which is trying to drive at, which is by no mind in a society where it's trying to be practicing democracy, maybe in paper but not in practice, or in practice but not in paper. We discovered that what? They are trying their almost best. Just the nature of Bakassi itself cannot permit development to go up rapidly. A swampy area needs a lot of experiment.
Okay. Professor Edmond Bilowa, they always say that the way the Bakassi affair between Cameroon and Nigeria was resolved, it was a diplomatic victory of President Paul Biya and President Obasanjo.
Yes.
Do you agree that it was a diplomatic victory on the part of President Biya?
Yes, I mean, look, had we gone to a war, the war would have been so costly. You understand? The war would have been so costly between Nigeria and Cameroon. Okay? So it was better to go to court and solve the matter somehow peacefully. Okay. You know, whatever the case, if you fight a war, sooner or later you will go to court. All right? You know, there have been so many cases like that. The war between Iran and Iraq. Okay? They fought for so many years. Millions of people were killed. Okay? Infrastructure, equipment were destroyed. But they had to solve the matter on the table. So it was a very wise decision to go to the Hague and solve it there. It would have been very, very, very costly. Very costly.
And the victory goes to President Biya?
Of course. It goes to President Biya, but it also goes to Obasanjo. Okay? Because Biya could not have solve the problem alone.
It's true that Kofi Annan
it was Obasanjo also agreed for a peaceful solution.
Yeah, it's true that
because Obasanjo could have refused.
Yeah.
Okay. And the UN, the UN Secretary General at the time, the late Kofi Annan also played a very important role.
Yeah.
But you also have the superpowers of the world, right? The US, Germany, Great Britain, France. They were very, very instrumental in making sure that Nigeria agreed and accepted the Hague decision. Now, there is one thing that it must be confusing when you hear Fabrice. Is he saying that it is not a good thing that we got back Bakassi?
I didn't say so.
Okay, it's a very good thing that we got
It's a good
Bakassi.
thing we got Bakassi. But now my problem is the treatment of the people.
Bakassi is a very rich peninsula.
Yeah.
Voila.
We have all riches
Exactly.
in that peninsula.
Exactly.
We have oil, and we haven't started exploiting that oil. We have natural gas. We have fish. There are so many riches in
Bakassi.
the Bakassi Peninsula. Maybe he doesn't know that Nigeria even proposed to Cameroon that Cameroon sell
Bakassi.
the
Bakassi
Peninsula to Nigeria. And Biya said, no, we can never sell it because it's so rich. It's extremely rich. Okay? So it's a very good thing. But now, it is not true that nothing has been done. A lot of things are being done on a regular basis. Okay? Like Victor said, Bakassi is a peninsula. There is plenty of water in that
Yeah, it's very
place.
swampy.
It's very swampy, okay? It's a peninsula. It means that the border between the sea and the land is nowhere to be seen. All right? So the land is in the sea. So it is very difficult to build infrastructure all of a sudden. Okay? But today, globalization has made it possible to do all those things in spite of the fact that the area is very swampy. As I told you, the government has built schools, the government has built hospitals, the government has built houses for civil servants, and Cameroonian civil servants who are living in Bakassi have seen their salaries increased. Okay?
Salaries of civil servants in Bakassi.
In Bakassi, okay? They are different from those who are not living in Bakassi, okay? But we have to acknowledge also the fact that when we got back Bakassi, the majority of the people who were living in Bakassi were from Nigeria.
Yeah.
Not only were they from Nigeria, but they were also from West Africa, okay? Most of them are fishermen, okay? So it is very difficult to know exactly who is Cameroonian, who is Nigerian, who is from Mali, and so on and so forth. All right? I can tell you that when I was teaching in Nigeria,
Yes.
very few people knew that I was from Cameroon. Only the authorities at Madonna University knew that I was from Cameroon. All right? Because they never asked me for my passport. Okay? And many Nigerians in Cameroon, nobody asked them for their passports. And vice versa. So it is not a matter that can be solved militarily. Okay? It is a matter that will be solved with time. Many of these Nigerian people will not go back to Nigeria. Okay? Just as you have Cameroonians who live in Nigeria who will never come back to Cameroon. Okay? We just have to...
Patient 20 years is not enough time. Dauda, do you agree?
Yes, of course. I agree with what Victor said, Prof said also, because we have to take time to build a country. As the court said, thing is going to move progressively. Even the retirement, the withdrawal of the soldiers, it will go progressively. We have, like you were saying here, that there are more Cameroonian, Nigerian than Cameroonian in that area, and it's a very rich place. And you have to take it diplomatically, if you will allow me to say that word, because even in Nigeria, they put pressure at that time to President Olusegun Obasanjo. They were even ready to fight, to use arms against Cameroonian people because of that land, which is very rich. So going fastly, we can break something. So we have to take our time. Now, it's objective. We have school, we have hospital, we have civil servants who are there.
Security.
They are working every day. It's not as Bakassi is something outside of Cameroon. We can also see how the thing is going on. When you come in Yaoundé, we don't have water. We have so much small problem. It's the same thing, and they have their way of life. You know, so we have to adapt ourselves. The first victory was to say that Bakassi lectured is Cameroon. That's the first victory, and they did it by the Pacific way. They avoid
and credits go to President Paul Biya.
The three, because you know when I say the three is President Paul Biya, Olusegun Obasanjo, and Kofi Annan. Because Kofi Annan, with his how can I say,
his charisma,
of Secretary General of United Nations, he said, okay, all of us we are Africa, we are African. Let us manage this thing as we can do in Africa. That's what it is, because it was more easy to him to do it if he was somebody who don't know the realities. Now, Kofi Annan also was an African. So he talked with his brother, and he said, if you go to the court, are you going to respect the decision of the court? They asked to Obasanjo, he said yes. They asked to President Biya, he said yes. It was easy to do that.
A diplomatic victory, Fabrice Lénard. We cannot deny that. We cannot deny that.
Before I reach to the diplomatic victory, I will kindly invite Prof and the lawyer to visit Idabato or to visit Bakassi. Yeah, it's very important because sometimes it's good to talk from the perspective of experience than from reports that you read in books and an assumption or documents that you see or pictures or videos. Sometimes when you have that experience, that is when you really have first-hand information to tell people. Because I have entered in flying boats several times in these zones, and when they say schools have been built there, there is administration. People don't eat schools or administration. We are talking about development. We are talking about...
But it's school not development. It's school not development, Fabrice.
School in 2000 and...
Plenty of food
in 2000 and... No.
Are you talking about...
No. What food? What food is in Bakassi?
Is a fishy...
Fish is just an aspect of food. Bakassi don't have the real food that is in the other zones, like when you go to Limbe or when you are in Boya.
But that kind of food comes from the interland.
It is not there. My preoccupation here is Cameroon has Bakassi. Good. What next? It was a diplomatic victory. Good. What next? When we talk of there are more Nigerians than Cameroon, all these things are speculations, Mr. Tabi Clarkson. Go to the administration of Jan Division and ask for database. A serious government should have database of its citizens. When last did we conduct population census in this country? To know the number of people living in a subdivision. Is it not appalling that in 2022 we should sit on the plateau and talk about an area of a country that we won from another country without having concrete elements of it? It is appalling for me. So the victories, the historical facts, the legal instruments are all good. They are nice. They are of the past. We are looking at the future. What about the future of Bakassi? You pose a very good question, and I want to applaud you for bringing this topic up, because many people don't talk about Bakassi, which is a preoccupation for me. Many discussions in this country do not include Bakassi. Like Prof said, it's part of the country, but how do we preoccupy ourselves with the activities and the way of life of these people? They are so unique, Mr. Tabi Clarkson, so unique that Bakassi, do not forget, Bakassi is having another separatist agenda out of Anglophone crisis separatist agenda, which is different, no? Because if you go to research, just type Bakassi Peninsula, you will see a separatist group that wanted their own republic in Bakassi after the 2006 Green Tree Accord that made Cameroon to have Bakassi. Why did they do that? In 2007 there were clashes. In 2009 there were clashes. In 2017 there were clashes. And it's still going, it's still going. The problem is, my problem is that what? We have an administration. Let the administration consolidate its power with the people. When you are in Bakassi, most of the time you speak English. Some of the people there don't even understand. You speak French, some of the people there don't even understand. They mostly speak their native languages. And it is in areas that are a little bit more enlightened and developed that they speak the English language, not even to talk of French. You get the point. So my preoccupation is that let us put Bakassi in the agenda of the development of Cameroon. I will seriously have a litany of questions to put to the governor of Southwest Region, to the GO of Ndian Division, to the mayor of Idabato, of Isangele, of Abedimo, of Kumbo, of all those places. What are you guys doing? What is the future of these people?
What are you guys doing?
Because the Popular Action Party is preoccupied with these people. We are preoccupied.
Yes, Victor, you just heard again, Lena.
You know, when I hear my brother talks, it's like we're quarreling a bit. It's our point of view that matters. Discover that what Bakassi, as Ella said, is a lot of concern. But the issue, Ella said that it's not more than one time, or there have been several attacks by the Nigerians towards Cameroonian bet.
Not Nigerians towards Cameroonians. I didn't say so, please. I said there have been attacks. I do not define
by
the
who?
party.
By who?
They have been attacks.
It means you have evidence of those who have been attacking the territory. If you say there have been attacks.
So you go and find out. We are not in the law court, so go and find out who has been attacking.
Okay. We should equally know that the conflict in Bakassi gave birth or paved the way for political leadership of the two presidents. To know that what in political aspect they are very dynamic and diplomatic. That is why several cases when Nigeria were attacking Cameroon, our president did not go to war. He gave birth to political leadership. He gave birth to the role of mediators like the United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan. He equally gave birth to multi mechanisms in which both parties have to consider home meetings, making sure that what both parties should not go to war in a roundtable discussion. Equally gave birth to what? The rule of law and confidence in building. Confidence, you have to be, the president believe in the president, our president in Cameroon had confidence in the other president, and vice versa. That's why the conflict gave birth to such a thing. Equally, the role of time. The time also was a factor. Due to the pressure and tension, the president, due to his leadership, he could not go to war with his counterpart. Equally, external image of the disputant. The image of the disputant. We discovered that what? Both were to consolidate peace. And discovered that war is not good. Prof. Ella said in war we spend a lot. We're seeing what's going on. If what is going on presently, if we tell you how much we have spent, the Bakassi Wakanda has not developed after 20 years. That money could have been sent there and development could have been, as we claim that there's no development there, which is a territory where it's mostly populated by Nigerians.
That people don't eat. That
people don't eat, but people are living there for 20 years. How can I say people don't eat?
People don't eat. What we're saying, there's a lot of food there. I am saying that we have only seafood, which is predominant there. I didn't debunk that I didn't say people don't eat. There is no environment on earth that God will create where human beings are living where they are not eating.
Seafood is even the health.
Yes.
What do you expect? It's a seafood place, but the topography is swampy. So how do you expect people to go and carry a commercial activity so rapidly?
Please.
That's what
the most developed places
years
in the world, Dubai was a desert transformed into what it is today. Paul Kagame took 20 years to transform Rwanda to be the cleanest and one of the emerging states of East Africa. We should not say 20 years. What do you mean by 20? 20 years is enough time.
I'm glad we are evaluating the Bakassi after 20 years.
20 years is enough time for any effective leadership in 21st century, my dear brother, to effect change. We should not come here and make the theory of apology of the president was a dynamic leadership. So the dynamism of the president's leadership is the reflection of the underdevelopment. Are you proud of Yaoundé as the capital of your country when you walk around the city?
That's not the question.
No, that is the question.
I think
that is the question.
That specific place was in dispute. We have first to make peace. Now we have bilateral cooperation.
There is no problem.
Cameroon and Nigeria
and Cameroon.
There's no war. Now we can think now about the economic aspect. It's 20 years is nothing.
My dear,
that's what I want to say.
He said
20 years is nothing.
He said that Cameroon took Bakassi in 2006. We are in 2022.
In 2002.
No, the Greenpeace are
yes.
in 2002. But now the official treaty that we legally recognize Bakassi to be was 2006. And then since then, let's even assume that it's not 2002, it's 2006. Since then till now, this is now that we should be thinking. When people are advancing since 2016 now, then we should be thinking. We are not talking. Cameroon and Nigeria are very peaceful. Every day Nigerians are entering Limbe. Every day Cameroonians are entering Calabar through that stretch. And even Adamawa right up to north. We are crossing. We have also no problem. We are instead evaluating. I think the question is about evaluating where Bakassi is after 20 years. Politically, economically, culturally, socially, diplomatically. And then me, I'm looking at the aspect of development, which is the preoccupation of the people. Because in any society that people don't have development, it is wasting time.
But Lena, there are schools in Bakassi. Hospitals.
Do you know the statistics of school literacy rate in Bakassi? Do you know the statistics of literacy rate, Mr. Tabi Clausen? Go and find out. You will be shocked. That Bakassi is one of, in the whole northwest and southwest region, Bakassi is one of the highest area with very low school attendance. The literacy rate is very high in Bakassi.
Maybe because of the population?
Not because of the population. There is no follow-up. There is no follow-up. Schools are there, but majority of the young people there, last year when I went in there, I was shocked there. Young boys of 18, 20, they are driving engine boat. When they go into the water in the night and carry goods from Limbe, maybe drop in Bakassi, go and drop Oron in Ibaka, in those different places, they come at 10 a.m. These young people are smoking, taking hard drugs, taking hard spirits, and the next thing is for the young girls there to welcome them back, and that is the life there is Liberia during Chastello. It is that type of very disorganized lifestyle of young people.
Yes, but,
and then now, who will you blame?
But wait, I think that I understand what he is trying to say. But when I say progressively, you know, we have the first factor with peace. Peace is here.
Yeah.
We have the cooperation who is working very well. Now, you know, development is the government policies. We have to put the general policies in so that things can work, like road. They need road. I can understand that one because when we want to travel to go in that place, they have to open it to people. But it cannot be done within this time, which is too short. You know, it's a general plan. Economically, when we organize, and it's not only the problem of Bakassi. I can say it like that. It's a problem of Cameroon. When you go to the north, you will see the same problem. You know, when we go to the west, even in the south, there are places, there are villages where to get in is not easy. So let us appreciate the beginning of the effort.
Okay, let us appreciate the beginning. It's true that we shall be concluding on this topic any moment from now. But when we talk Bakassi, Professor Edmond Bilowa, we cannot talk Bakassi without citing some names. For example, that of Professor Kamto or that of Professor Bipumum, because those were the lawyers who actually defended the case at the Hague. So there's always the name of Kamto when it comes to Bakassi.
Well, there were so many lawyers there. You forgot to talk about Professor Ntamak Peter.
Yes.
the former dean of the Faculty of Law.
Yeah.
There were French professors of law. You had English professors also. You also have German professors of law.
Even geography.
So it was if we want to talk about people who were there and who defended Cameroon,
it's not only Kamto.
There are at least 20.
At least 20.
At least 20. So Maurice Kamto was one of them.
He was one of them. Okay, tell us.
Another time, he was a vice minister of justice, something like that. So it was his role.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean by that, or you want to say. When you
special. We are seeing again some pictures. We are seeing Kofi Annan. We are seeing Olusegun Obasanjo and President Paul Biya. Those images of three big statesmen, I'll put it that way. And that picture, when you see that picture, Professor Edmond Bilowa, it tells you what? That picture.
No, it tells me that these people did a marvelous job. Obasanjo in particular. was under pressure from Nigeria because the governor of the Cross River State was against that agreement between Cameroon and Nigeria. Many neighboring states, like is it Akwa Ibom?
Yes.
The governor of Akwa Ibom was also against it. Obasanjo.
It was not easy for him. For
Yeah, he was facing a lot of pressure from Nigerian governors who were on the border with Cameroon. But he stood very firm. He stood very firm. And that can be explained by the fact that during the Biafra War
in 1967,
Obasanjo was in the Nigerian army. Okay? So he knew what it means to face a war. Okay? He knew what it means to face a war.
In 1967.
And he said, I'm not going to leave this again
to happen.
I'm not going to let this again happen between Cameroon and Nigeria. Okay, so President Paul Biya was in, that was his role, to defend Cameroon. But Obasanjo could have paid attention to what his governors were saying. A senior military man in the army was against the agreement, all right? They wanted Nigeria to fight, okay, to conduct a war against Cameroon. But Obasanjo said no. He said no, all right? So we must recognize that President Paul Biya, Olusegun Obasanjo, and Kofi Annan did a marvelous job.
They did a marvelous job. We are ending on this first topic. Victor, your last word on this, the advice that you can give to those watching us, especially those watching us from Isangele, Dabato, what are you telling them from the Bakassi Peninsula?
From the Bakassi Peninsula, I would tell them that first victory was ours. I should be happy for that. That paved the way for a lot of vices, that the political leadership of our country is stable and are doing everything that we should not go to war, because as I said, war is like it's very dangerous thing. Expenditures are being used and nobody likes war. After the military people, they will tell you. But it is true that the topography does not equally permit us to carry the developmental aspect, but it's swampy. But it is true the Cameroonization of those territories, the development has not been brought to the people as Ihela said, but it is a gradual process. It's a gradual process. When factors are there to represent our country, that is Cameroon territory. So we should just give it time. We are evaluated after 20 years. Maybe tomorrow we are evaluated after 30 years. Maybe after 40 years. From there we can begin to raise eyebrows that, okay, we have given enough time. It's good that let us at this juncture now do things at the right way. We have given ample time. No, there will not be a reason that you tell us that what I was all the way. Nothing put in place. So I will only equally say that it is a blend of cooperation of the state and the people there in Bakassi.
And the Cameroonian government, 20 years after, what are you telling them?
As I said, I'm equally telling them that it is a blend of the Cameroonian government, the state, and the people. Let the Cameroonian government try to make sure that what they should go to the administration to go to the people. Yeah. That's why we have parliamentarians. But our parliamentarians nowadays, I don't know what they are doing. Parliamentarian is based in Yaoundé. How will he or she know the plight of his people? But you blame our government, whereas you have been given the name and the yam to represent your people and say your word is, but still they cannot. So it's just a matter of time, and I believe everything will be okay.
Dauda Bombo, your last word as we are moving on to our second topic.
I would say that it was a wise decision to go to the court. I appreciate the effort of all the parties. They did a very good job. And there are times we forget that we have neighboring countries who are our friend, like Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea also take party to court because they wanted to defend our position also at time. I think that it was the key to determine the issue of the conflict. Now, to the people of Bakassi, let us say that Cameroon is a world country. The problem of Bakassi is also the problem of Yaoundé and the other region. It will be moving gradually, and I'm sure that the government is aware of the difficulty they face.
Fabrice Lena, your minute?
Yeah, I will say I want to encourage all my people in the Jan division and all those in the different subdivisions of Bakassi Island, to say that we are aware of the difficulties you're all facing. We are aware of how you've been abandoned by the obsolete government of Yaoundé, and we assure you that the Popular Action Party, very close to its people, will always be by you, and hoping that you get civic engagement, political participation, so that we move this country forward to a new dispensation as electoral seasons are approaching. Let's not allow history to repeat itself again. You hear my brother saying that he's confirming and affirming that parliamentarians under the party in power has failed the people, and the government which is run by the party in power has also failed the people. So we should be very, very determined to change this through any means non-violent that will make us to be proud Cameroonians and not to mortgage our future again to leaders that cannot deliver.
Professor Edmond Bilowa, Bakassi, your last word, the advice that you are giving to those living in the peninsula?
No, we must contribute to their own development. Okay, because you cannot expect everything from the state. But the state too has to do its own share of the work. Okay? The state has to do its own share of the work, and the people in there also must develop their own part of the territory. Finally, I would like to say that we are all acknowledging that war is not a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, war is not a good thing. And we should all be grateful to this government to have won Bakassi back. You know, it was not easy to get Bakassi back from Nigeria. Had we gone to war, I'm not sure that we will have won the war against Nigeria, because Nigeria has so much manpower. They have so much, they have economic power, all right? And then this government managed to get back the Bakassi Peninsula from Nigeria. And we managed to kick Boko Haram out of the upper north of Cameroon. And now, the major problem that we are facing is the crisis in the northwest and in the southwest. In the long run, I believe that the nation and the state of Cameroon will win. Okay? Because we cannot allow citizens of our own country to take weapons against the republic. Okay? Sooner or later, the republic will win. But the problems, the underlying problems, must be addressed. Okay?
The necessity for a dialogue again.
The underlying problem must be addressed sooner or later. And the underlying problem is that the populations want some degree of political autonomy.
Okay. It's true that today we are not talking the Anglophone crisis, but we want to salute all of you in Bakassi watching us at this particular moment. Bakassi belongs to Cameroon, and we are happy of the diplomatic victory of President Paul Biya and, of course, President Olusegun Obasanjo, equally the important role that Kofi Annan actually played in solving the conflict. Well, we are now moving on to our second topic, but before then, the jingle, before we come back. Our second topic, we are talking moral decadence. We saw this young girl who was actually exposing her nakedness. She was sent to Kondengi for 3 months. She's now a free person. I will begin with you, Dauda. Given that you are a man of law, you are a lawyer, tell us, was it a nice thing to have sent this young girl to prison?
She has spent 3 months in prison. It's not a small thing, and you know, the judge, when he takes his decision, is according to law and his conscience. So I presume that when the judge decided to release that young girl is because she considered certain parameters. It was the first time she has an offense, and she's young. She can change because the objective of the law is not to kill somebody, it's to socialize a human being. I think that it was a good decision. It was a wise decision. It was a good decision because maybe she was careless. She didn't even know about what can happen when she. But now we have she have to come back in the real life. That is an educational aspect of the law. So for me, it was a good thing because the judge has put the point in because many people was aware of that situation, and everybody know that it was not good to do what she did. And after they say at the second time you will be punished severely because it was not the release like that. It was a conditional release. They say that it means that you are free, of course, but if you do again the same thing, you will punish twice. That was the message. I think that the justice also talk to us because Konengi is full of people. There's no need and it's even that place.
Is that a good place?
No, the prison cannot be a good place. But I want to say that we have to think about how to reconstruct those type of things. Because in the other countries, we have other way of punishment.
Yeah,
it's not only to put you in jail.
Yeah.
You can because we
have hard criminals, hardened criminals.
Yes, mentally.
Those who have murdered, those who have
mentally, psychologically, and other aspects. You have to take it into consideration.
Okay. Victor, you equally followed that news of that young girl.
That news is a very bizarre one to hear as a youth. And getting that my other fellow youth person is kind of tracking our youthfulness into mud, but yet the youth are clamor for change is not correct. Thomas Jefferson once said, I quote him, a critic is a man who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing.
A critic?
A critic is a man who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. She was just an example of that word because she knew the value of everything but the price of nothing. We discovered that moral decadence has plagued our society for years now because we begin to bother ourselves and ask ourselves that is this really the society in which we find ourselves into? Compare just from a topic of Bakassi after 20 years. We should equally compare ourselves, youth of 20 years ago and youth of present days, as they the same people. It's a call for concern. It's a call for concern because it's a socio-economic societal problems that has plagued the society among the youth in particular.
When a young girl like that is exposing her nakedness, who is responsible? The government?
Both parties are responsible. The government have a role to play, and the parents equally have a role to play. When I talk about the parents, I mean the girl, the children, the parents, the school, and the society, the environment that she finds herself to. But the government also, it's a 50-50, it's a double-sided coin. The government does her own role by putting in place mechanisms and laws that if you break it, just like she was punished for 3 months. I'm sure the father they were not aware of that.
Is it a nice thing?
It's not a nice thing. It's not a nice thing because it dragged the image of the youth into mud. It dragged the image of the girl into mud, the image of the family, and that of the youth as a whole. So it's not really a bad thing. It's a bad thing. Bad thing.
Yes, Fabrice Lena.
Well,
moral decadence, what to do, who to blame?
Well, our society is one with so many issues, and moral decadence is one of the preoccupying problems. Man's material condition determines his social relationship And it is often said that when a child grows in an environment where there are a lot of risk factors and opportunities, the child becomes weak and exposed. We cannot ignore the influence of technology, internet, and rapid change of mindset of the younger generation, which is affecting a lot of young people. That young girl, I think...
That is how we can see on the screen, Cynthia.
Yes, the young girl is a victim of those kind of environment where I think parental brought up that kind of values, grooming of a child, nurturing of a child is a problem, because she's still a kid whose mind is not yet well developed. She must have been doing these things out of desperation, the internet influence and all the rest.
Out of frustration too.
I share the view that responsibility for these kind of things is shared between parents, the child herself, and the society, which is the government, own responsibility. And talking about the sanction of her to go to prison for 3 months, I would still say that it is not the best form of punishment for this kind of child. Because for me, if I were to propose to the government what we should do with young children like this, I would say they should create a center of psychosocial support, where you try to find out what motivates them to do those kind of things. Do they know the implication of exposing your own self to the world like that? And do you know that it can just terminate your own existence like that? Because, you know, in our country, we are fond of everything Konenge, everything Konenge. It doesn't solve basic problems. Sending the child to Konenge, yeah, but after that, what next? Has the mindset of the child changed?
By worsen things.
Is she going to be a better version of herself? Because sometimes the method of correction can even make the person to become a worse version of herself than before.
She will go and sell paper there.
The things are released. She has not yet posted anything on.
No, it's not a case of not posting it
on social media.
Sometimes, Mr. Kabi, someone might be quiet not because the person don't want to do, but the person is planning a worse thing to do.
Oh,
and you know,
she might even do worse things than you don't know about it.
Voila. And you know, Cameroon is a situation where when you are frustrated, when most young people are frustrated, the next thing is the Mediterranean. They start thinking of how to cross. They start thinking of going to more liberal societies. They start thinking of how to devise other means of being free to do things better. So I still come to say that there's a serious problem of moral rectitude in Cameroon.
Moral rectitude.
This starts in schools, primary, secondary, universities, and our social environment. The schools nowadays, moral education, religious studies, citizenship education, all those things, there are no emphasis on it. It's as if government education programs and training workshop programs are deliberately made not to, because some of these things are educational. When a child, in those days when we were growing, for me, for example, when I was young, I did not know how to wear jean trousers. We were trained, I was trained by a reverend, where your life is so organized, you have to, your outlook must be very organized, you know. But, you know, nowadays those things don't exist again. Yeah, and they have now removed corporal punishment again in school. So we don't know where the society is heading to, you know. Maybe Prof, who is in the academic sector,
Prof, who is in the academic sector, will tell us moral decadence, who to blame, what to do, Prof.
Well, I agree with what everybody said. Everybody is to blame. Because before the child goes to school, is brought up in his family. Okay? So the child goes to school when he has already been exposed to the basic educational background of his family. And even when the child is in school, primary, secondary, university, high school, university, he should still be under the influence of his family. Okay? Because the family, the school cannot replace the family. Okay? The family's influence should go until the child is a grown-up person. Okay? Until the child is a professional. Until the child is able to create his own family. Okay? But what happens is that families have given up their roles. Unfortunately, that's what is going on.
Why have family abandoned their duties?
No, I mean, not all of them, but many families have given up their roles, okay? They are not doing what they are supposed to do.
Can we give an explanation to that?
They send the children to school. When children come back from school, they don't ask the child, what were you taught in school? Send me your notebooks, and so on and so forth. Parents should be in touch with the teachers, or we should be in touch with the school environment. Once in a while, parents should go to school and come and see either the principal or those who are running the school and ask them, how is my child doing, and so on and so forth. Okay, when the child is abandoned to himself, okay, he does, we time and time again, we see those things at the university. A family sends his child to the university, they pays everything, he goes to a place that they call Minicité, he has a room there, and when the child comes back home and tells them I've succeeded, they don't ask the transcript, they don't want to see the transcripts, and sometimes until the child says that he's going to master one, that the parents come to school, you know, ask the vice dean, okay, I would like to see my child results. You know, the vice dean questions the computer, and then they realize that the child has never crossed the first year. He was not able to go from the first year to the second year, from the second year to the third year. He never got his first degree, and therefore he is not in the master program. Okay? Why is that? The people who are faulty are parents. They are parents. When you send a child to school, you must make sure that your child is going to school. At the end of the semester, you must ask for the transcripts. If the child doesn't bring the transcripts, you go and ask to school the transcript of your child. That way you know where your child is going. Parents don't do that anymore. Okay? So it is the responsibility of the family. It is the responsibility of the child. It is also the responsibility of the school. Okay? Because normally school should be in touch with parents. Okay? When you have a child in school, you should have the parents' phone number. Okay? If you don't have the parents' phone number, at least you should be able to contact the parents one way or another. And then you also have the community and society as a whole. Because education is everybody's concern. It's the family's concern, the child concerns, the school concerns, the community's concern, the state concerns, and so on and so forth. That's why I agree with everybody. We are all concerned by the education thing. And if we somehow education is no longer what it used to be, all those who are taking part in the education process are responsible for it. The other thing that I would like to finish by it, that, and I agree with Fabrice, sending that child to prison was not necessarily a good thing. Because to prison over there, you know, she was going to meet people who have a lot of money, and she was in a position now to sell her paper that she wanted to sell when she was outside. All right? So by the time she gets out of it, she has their phone number, she has all sorts of connections. All right? These people will once in a while leave the prison cells to go and meet her in the quarters. Okay, so it was not such a good thing to send a child like that to prison. Okay? She was too young for that.
But was it
a long time ago, they used to be...
But is it not setting an example to others?
No, it is a bad example. A long time ago, there used to be something in Tui, where they will send children whose life has gotten out of hand. And over there, those children were educated, they were taught how to live, and they were taught many, many things. I am sure that that little girl is worse than when she went to Konengi.
Before she went to Konengi?
Yeah, she's worse now. Because she met in Konengi people who have a lot of money, people who have power, people who can take them to their cells, have free sex, give her some money. That was not a good way to educate her. That was even the worst way to educate her.
Dauda, you just got what Prof said. It was a nice thing sending the young Cynthia to prison.
Prof gave one solution. I think he was talking about Betamba.
Yes.
Betamba Center. That reason why I was saying that in the other country,
She wants to do that thing.
in the other country, when you face this type of problem, they follow you. They send you to a center, and they try to educate you, to take you back in the society. But I would say that law is the law. When you commit an offense, you have to be sanctioned. That's what happened. Now, that reason why they took into consideration is younger, his age, and so on and so forth. And they bring her back. Now they say that they have to send her to an hospital, for example, that she will follow a program. That was a very good decision. But the act that the judge take to say that this thing you do is very bad. So when it's very bad like that, it's not a good example. But the problem is that, you know, those type of things, it can be arbitrary somewhere. You will see that there are other people who make more than that, worse than that. But they are free because they have money. Is it because she's coming from a poor family? I suppose. Or if she was in a rich family, how can they take this problem and solve it? That reason why I want to point on our educational system. Our educational system has to be transformed again. Because, you know, now, at the high school, they are talking about approach by competence. Before, it was approach by objective. Are you sure this approach by competence is giving the result we want? When you see how things is going, you can ask the question.
Can we say that this young girl is now worse than before she went to prison?
No, I cannot presume to anything. but I know.
Doesn't know about it.
I know that.
But the environment, we know that the prison environment is not.
Yes, we have,
not a nice
we have to walk. You have to walk into our prison.
It's not a nice place, the prison.
We have to walk into our prison.
We cannot be happy when we are in prison.
I'm sure that she meant.
We cannot be happy when we are in prison. Yes, you said something that 20 years ago, Victor, 20 years ago, the youths of 20 years ago were more respectful than the youths of today.
Yes, if you compare those youth of yesteryears and the present, you say gap, there's a wide difference. That's why Charles Darwin said in his word, a man who dares to waste 1 hour of his time does not discover the value of life. This girl, therefore, to atop a moral decadence, and this girl is just a person, one of the victims who wastes hours of her time to waste. Therefore, she fell into the four arms of the law. That's why she has to be punished. She's just one of the people whom the law happened to pick. There are several cases outside. But who is to be blamed? As I said, both parties. Who should the government equally has to be blamed because she's trying, or if not, she has neglected the aspect of religion in schools. Religion and civil education, my brother Fabrice said.
They don't teach it again in school.
Some schools they don't teach that. That's why if you have 4 papers with religion at the O level, they say you are not eligible for certain concourse. You have 2 papers at advanced level religious study, you are not eligible for certain concourse.
So they should take back religion.
They should bring back the religious aspect of it. They will be able to teach children how to grow in the fear of the Lord. Morals. Therefore, the principles will be well organized, and I'm sure such scenario will not repeat itself again.
Well, we still have 2 minutes. We are concluding. I'll give 30 seconds to each speaker. I'll begin with you, Lena. You have 30 seconds before we go.
Yes, I want to take this time to greet His Excellency Justice Ayapola Bine, in Boya and Jamdeni Stabe, to all the militants of the Popular Action Party, and to say, dear youth, Cameroonian youth, we have a huge task to change the political narrative of our country by civic engagement, political participation, being active, because when you are active, you don't have time for idleness. Social media is to be used positively, not negatively, and together we will change the narrative of our country as young people.
Thank you, the Secretary General of the Popular Action Party. You will go in for elections, is that?
Well,
in 2025?
Yes, of course. For that, our party needs to take its convention, and when we shall make the declaration, Campaign TV will know.
Okay.
Yes.
We say thank you for that. Victor, in 30 seconds as we go.
I want to equally thank this TV for making sure that information reaches to the grassroots. It's not, as they say, ignorance is not an excuse in the law. So we need to be informed in all dimensions and use information in a positive perspective, as Fabrice said. Equally want to use the measure to thank the Commandant of National Police School in Yaoundé, Commissaire de Tangeno, to equally thank Mr. Jangdeni for the good work they are doing at various fields, making sure that what people come together, and together they build a good nation.
Dauda?
We have to work on our educational system. Is because everything is going up and down. Is a real necessity to come back to accept, to make our intervention and come back to it, and work harder to improve it. Peace is a very good thing. We saw it and the development will come progressively. That is sure, because when you have peace, you can do everything.
When there is peace, there is development. We say thank you, Dauda, for coming. Prof, we are concluding with you.
Yes, I think that there should be a strong connection between the family and the school. Yeah, the educational system must have a very strong relationship with the family. Okay, that way the family and schools can work hand in hand in order to improve the education that children are receiving.
20 years after, we are proud of our Bakassi. 20 years after, we are proud of the diplomatic victory of President Biya and President Obasanjo, equally Kofi Atta Annan. 20 years after, Bakassi is yet to be developed, but we know that development is a gradual process. We say thank you, gentlemen, for coming. Take another appointment same time next week for yet another rendezvous with the Republican debate. Till then, we say may God continue to bless the Republic.